Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube segment, I'm going to be talking about an issue that I have had to contend with and combat to some degree for a number of years. Really, it's been for about 20 years pretty strong, since about 1996, maybe even late 1995. I felt some even early signs of this perhaps around 1991. And I have many of you may know, I've said this in other videos, that I have extensive nerve damage to my arms, and I believe in other parts of the body, but the strong point is in my arms. And really, a lot of it is unexplained, and it's not always detectable. And nerve damage can come in manifold forms. It can come, they're going to be, you might experience, as far as the symptoms, it might be pain and tingling and electric kind of shocks. And I've had, really, the main thing I've had is tingling sensations and like kind of that electric shock sensation. I've had problems like a shock would go up my I don't know if it's the radial nerve or something, or that area, but it's something radial, but it'll go up from my wrist. I've had it shoot up to my elbow is one example. I've had tingling in my elbows. I've even had tug sensations in my elbows, to the point where putting some kind of topical analgesic on it really would not even do anything. A lot of times what I would do is I would go to a chiropractor, and they would have like some muscle stimulation treatment or ultrasound, whichever one. I mean, the muscle stimulation is better penetrating ability, and it works better as opposed to just the ultrasound. The ultrasound is, if you could get by with that, maybe if the tingling is not too bad, but if it's really deep and you got like those kind of tug-like sensations, then you would understand that the muscle stimulation would be more effective. Now, the thing about this is, what really had hurt, this happened, as I stated before, with me in 1996. And the thing about this is that really there were a lot of adjustments that I had to make due to this problem. And the reality is, I mean, this appears to be irrevocable damage that I have to my arms. And the thing is, I can't engage in vigorous sports activities such as working out or even playing basketball. It got to a point where even playing basketball would do something, I guess, because of the repetitive motion with the shooting, and I wound up getting I exacerbated some problem with my elbow because of that. And of course, I had to go down to the chiropractor and get 2 or maybe 3 treatments of muscle stimulation or ultrasound, and that, I mean, that helped. But the thing is, you can't do anything to aggravate the problem or exacerbate it. I've had to really limit myself in what I've been doing. What's sad is I even had some people, when I initially talked to them about my situation, that they thought this was some kind of mental distortion I had, or this was something in my head that I was enlarging upon, and I didn't really have this problem. This was some magnified fear. Well, I could tell you, I rest assured, it isn't. And a lot of people that don't have this problem, they really can't empathize or truly relate to it. They would have to experience it to understand. It's not as common as just like simple strains or sprains, or like throbbing dull aches. That's what it seems to be more frequent. But nerve damage is very tricky, and it can't always be detected with nerve conduction tests. I've had some nerve conduction tests, and they were not able to do anything about it. Now, I don't know, this was done in like 2010, and being in 2016, I don't know if they have any advanced tests. Someone told me they thought they did, but that was only one person, and I have to research this pretty extensively to verify this and find out. But what this has done for me is I've had, it prohibits me from operating a motor vehicle motor vehicle, an automobile or what have you, and it's made a lot of adjustments, being forced to have to rely on some public transportation. And being 45 years old, it's been very humbling over the years for me. It's something that I've had to adapt and adjust to. And when this happened in 1996 to me, when I came to realization I wasn't really going to be able to work out much anymore. I did sporadically up until about 1998, but then it got to a point where I couldn't really do it, period, anymore. So I had to come to terms with this and accept the fact that I was not going to be able to work out again. This is not being pessimistic, it's just being realistic. And a part of the reason I'm making this video is that so some of you out there that have this problem, that few of you that might actually view this that do have this problem, you are not alone. And I can understand, I would be willing to put even money on the fact that you have had people that did not initially believe you and may still not believe you, because it's not as common as I stated before, something like a sprain or something broken or some dull throbbing ache. You could work through things that are like a dull throbbing ache or something, or simple strain, perhaps. I believe, at least comparatively speaking, compared to something with nerve damage, what would happen is I would try to do certain things, even work related, and what would happen is I would get a shock in my arm and I would have to like drop whatever it is I was holding. You couldn't work through that. You actually, the shock sensation was so bad that I actually had a literal inability to hold on to the object that I was holding. So people out there, I just want to let you know that there are others that can empathize with you, that like me, I understand exactly what it's about, and you have some cynics and skeptics out there that may not believe you, and even people that are close friends and acquaintances, they may say, well, no, I can't understand, this has got to be in your head, I never heard of this before. Well, you know what, if anybody tells you that they never heard of it before, you know what you tell them to do? Tell them to go online and research it. And I researched something, I think it was just nerve damage, and millions of views, millions of results came up on it. So really, it's really right out there. They just have to open their eyes and actually become cognizant of it, that it actually exists. And the thing about this is it's really caused a number of limitations and restrictions. And the reality is what I've basically I've been on very limited, not as far as money. It's also hard to generate money due to this situation, because you can't, at least 90% of the jobs I would feel I'm probably not qualified for. So the reality is you just have to kind of work through this situation and really try to, sometimes it's the school of hard knocks, sometimes you'll try to do certain things, and maybe a few of the things you can do that you were able to, depending on the severity of the problem, but then you find out when you exacerbate a previous injury from the nerve damage, then gee, it's like, oh, I can't do that, and it's a shame it has to work like that. But unfortunately, sometimes it is the school of hard knocks finding this out. And when that happened to me, when I aggravated that elbow thing problem when I was playing basketball, I said, oh boy. Once that happened, I pretty much knew that as far as my recreational sports days were pretty much eradicated, and they're just a distant memory, unfortunately. I do have that, and nobody can eradicate those and take those memories away from me, but it doesn't change the fact that I am very frustrated due to the fact that I have this hampering, I don't know if you want to call it debilitation, but a very strong injury. And it's really, what people have to understand is that you have to find things when you're in this situation a lot. You got to find things to enjoy yourself with. I've been dominated by the internet, and that's basically the majority of my social interaction right now. And I mean, as many of you may know, I make a lot of YouTube videos. I have over 1,500 on my YouTube astrology channel alone. So you get an idea that you have to find something, some kind of hobby. Find something you're very enamored with that is within your physical capabilities, and you do it to your fullest. And that's really about the only thing you can do. So, and of course, you can apply for disability, and that is something. I mean, I get most of my income comes from disability, from the majority of my income comes from Social Security disability. So that, I mean, and I encourage others, sometimes you just have to humble yourself and swallow your pride and say, you know what, if it gets to a point where you try to work various jobs and you can't really do it due to the nerve damage, then you might have to apply for disability. And the thing is, you can't there are some things you might be able to do, I mean, which doesn't require anything strenuous or that repetitive, such as like a security job or something like that. There are some positions out there for people in that situation. So, I mean, you just have to find something within your means and within those parameters that you could actually do. So those are some things to consider with this. And the thing about it, too, is I was actually able to work through it to a certain degree up until I had a job where I was working at a Kmart. As you know, it's a department / retail store, I guess you could say, more of a retail outlet, I guess, than anything. And something happened to me in 2005 where I really exacerbated the injury to a point where I couldn't even work anymore. And I mean, and everything just kind of fell apart in a way for me in terms of my working situation, my you know, as far as what I was doing monetarily. I didn't start my disability process until late 2007, and I finally got approved around late May of 2010 or early June of 2010. So it took about 2.5 years to get it done. I had to go. It took 3 attempts. It took my torus rising persistence, and I 2 times I applied. I guess it was online or through the paperwork, and then the 3rd time I did it through an attorney, and I was approved for it. So those are some things just to consider for people that do have this situation. Just to let you guys know out there, the few people that see this video and understand and have this problem, or have a close friend or a loved one that has this, that they're not alone in this. And I could rest assured you that these problems do exist. And what's bad about it is when you get a nerve conduction test and nothing comes up, that adds more to the skepticism of others and people being skeptical of your story and what you said. But what people have to realize and be cognizant of is the fact that a lot of those tests will not uncover the problem. It doesn't mean the person doesn't have it. It just means that the test did not uncover it. Those tests are far from infallible. It's a shame that we're so far in the future. We're 2016 now, and they may not have 100% foolproof method of this. I don't know if they have now or not. Like I said before, I have to look into that, but my feeling is they probably don't. Well, anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube segment for dealing with nerve damage and my experience with it. And until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying, stay well.